Hey BookTube, it's Charlie from Reader Turned Writer, and today I wanted to share the books that I read in March. I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently this time. To share each book, I want to do one line of the synopsis, and in it I want to share kind of what's unique about it, or the hook, if there is one. And then I want to share a one-line review of what I thought of the book, so I want to keep it short and simple. The first book I read was a reread for me, The Goose Girl by Shannon Hell, and I rated it 5 stars. This is a fairy tale retelling, a little bit more obscure of a fairy tale, following a princess who was forced into hiding as a goose. As a goose girl, not as a goose. I loved this book as a teenager and I still really enjoy it as an adult. It has awesome friendships, a sweet romance, and a female main character who gains confidence and learns to stand up for herself. The next book I read was Front Desk by Kelly Yang. I rated this 5 stars as well. In this book, a 10-year-old girl immigrates with her family from China to the US in the 1990s. She wants to become a writer, but because of the language barrier, can she succeed at this goal? I loved this book. The main character inspired me with her tireless efforts to make her life better and left me wanting to be a kinder person. Then I read The Great Unexpected by Sharon Creech and I gave this 3 stars. This book shows that we are all connected like spiderwebs, and it's a lesson that a small girl in a small town learns as she discovers more of her past and tries to figure out what her future is. This book definitely made me think deeper and had some beautiful language, but it was a little too vague and contrived for me to absolutely love it. The next 2 books I read were At the Edge of the World by Avi and The End of Time by Avi. This is the second and third in the story of a boy trying to find a place for himself amid the turmoil of the Middle Ages. I really loved the new characters that we were introduced to, and I still continue to really enjoy Crispin as a character, but I didn't really care what was happening throughout the books. Then I read Murder Most Unladylike by Robin Stevens, and I gave this book 4 stars. This is a Sherlock and Watson, but set at a British boarding school in 1930s. 2 young girls try and solve a murder that only they knew happened. I really loved the mystery and the characters in this book. It was a little unbelievable at times and didn't really feel as much like a 1930s boarding school, but because of the lighthearted and fun aspects, I enjoyed it nonetheless. Then I read a graphic novel, Batman The Long Halloween by Jeff Loeb, and I rated this 4 stars. It's actually my favorite comic book so far. Batman's nemesis all make an appearance as Batman tries to discover who a new criminal in town is and stop him. I don't really love reading comic books or graphic novels, but for being a graphic novel, I did very much enjoy the mystery aspect and seeing some of the characters from Batman, although I will say Batman is a little bit dark for me. I read Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes by Conan Doyle, and I rated it 4 stars. This is another collection of short story Sherlock mysteries narrated by Watson. I do really enjoy the Sherlock short stories, though I think I enjoyed The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes more than the memoirs. Then I read Juniper Berry by M.P. Kozlowski. I gave it 4 stars. When her parents hit it big as famous movie stars, Juniper fades into the background. But what if something more sinister is causing the change? This took me a little bit by surprise because it did end up being very creepy, think Coraline aspects to it. It definitely had more supernatural aspects than I was expecting when I first read the first couple of pages. It did hold my interest and I very much cared about what happened to Juniper and her new friend. Then I read The Book of Boy by Catherine Gilbert Murdoch and I gave it 4 stars. Set in the Middle Ages, Boy sets out on a quest with a pilgrim, but he has more to hide than his humped back. This book kept my interest and kept me wanting to read. It was a very quick read for me, but it ended up being a little bit too weird, and also very few answers were given to some of the questions I had, and because of that I actually might lower my rating to 3 stars. I'm not sure yet. I listened to The Shadow of What Was Lost, and it was a reread for me by James Islington, and I gave it 4 stars. I want to read the rest of the series, so I had to reread this book as a refresher. In this epic, 3 friends are suddenly plunged on their own paths, and they are in way over their heads. I absolutely love the characters in this. The politics are very interesting, the mystery is intriguing, it is very Brandon Sanderson-esque. The ending was a little bit disappointing, and it is very violent. The final book I read this month was Inside Out and Back Again by Thana Lee. I rated it 4 stars. At the end of the Vietnam War, Ha comes to America for a better life, but the going is tougher than they thought. This is a middle grade historical fiction about something that I have never really learned about, and I really loved how emotional it was. It was written in verse, and so I wasn't sure I'd actually like it, but because of the way it was written, I actually felt more connected to Ha than I think I would have otherwise. It was my favorite read this month, and I would highly recommend it to anyone. Those are the books I read this month. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite read was from the month of March. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. Thank you for watching my video. I will see you in the next one.